some of the paperwork that we received from the Bureau of Indian Affairs, it's the paper trail, and it goes back to 1930. 1930 is when the land, that 40 acres of massacre site land, that's when that land fell out of the reach of the Oglala Lakota. After we had our meeting in Wounded Knee, I contacted an international, well, let me see, she's a lawyer, but she works on treaties, international treaties. I had to search for these facts. The only fact that I found is considered an old stale file, but it's a very important fact. The land was originally allotted to an individual in 1889. Okay, the allotment was originally allotted in 1889. The massacre took place in 1890, and the allotment was approved in 1906. The original allottee passed on in 1928. And 2 years later, her heirs sold the land in 1930. So that is the timeline. But in the documents of that land sale, which the documents back then I think were filled out by non-Indians or individuals working at the BIA. There's a question in one of the documents, the report of superintendent, the answer to question number 4. The question is, what is the value of the land? And if it is offered for sale, will it, in your opinion, attract bidders? The answer they wrote in was, not yet appraised. I think it will sell. This question number 4 is pivotal because that is where it should have been noted that this land is significant historically and culturally to the Lakota people, because 40 years earlier the U.S. Cavalry massacred a group of Lakota people on part of that 40 acres. But it's not mentioned anywhere in the whole application process. So that brings up the question, if that land was taken under some kind of a deception, does that make it a legal sale? We don't know the level of English the heirs spoke, or their comprehension of English, or their comprehension of technical writings that is associated with anything, especially in real estate. We don't know that. We don't know their grasp of that. And we don't know if they were advised that this land is historically significant. We don't know if they were advised that this land is historically significant, and do you know what you're doing? And would you sign a waiver, or would you sign an affidavit stating that fact, that yes, you know that something historical happened on this land, and with all, I don't know how it would be phrased, but with all knowing of that fact, do you still want to proceed with the sale? and signatures. They don't exist. Those types of things don't exist. So it's kind of it needs to be looked into. But it's considered an old stale file. It's considered a long shot. But yet the Wounded Knee Massacre stands outside of the ordinary passage of time, because what happened there has never ever been resolved to this very day, 2013. It's never been resolved yet. Why those cavalry did that to those people. That's never been resolved. I know because I'm a descendant and I've been working on this issue ever since I was in my mid-20s, and now I'm in my mid-50s. What happened to the Lakota at the massacre, it grew an evil branch from there, and it affected the Oglala people living there, and it seems like that land was taken from them because that's where the massacre took place. That's the way it seems. Until we find affidavits, until we find whoever made a loan to get that, if it's marked anywhere, we still need to find that out. So it's just an extension of the tragedy. Now they ripped off a brother and sister back in 1930. So if that was an illegal purchase, how does that affect the land sale today? The 1930 land sale was to, I think they're brothers, because looking at the document, it says, it's just like two initials and it says Gildersleeve, and then there's two more initials and it says Gildersleeve. So I don't know if they were two brothers. I'm not from the Wounded Knee community, so I don't know their history, and that's a question that that needs to be asked. You know, who were these individuals? Gildersleeve purchased it. The Gildersleeves purchased it, whether they're brother and sister or brothers, or anyway, there was two individuals named Gildersleeve. Purchased it, and then they kept it. They kept it until 1968. They sold it to the current deed holder, James Szynski. So that's the point that I know it's a technical point, and I know it's considered, oh, that old dead file. No. That original sale definitely has an effect on today's transaction. If it doesn't, what kind of America are we living in? If that land was purchased through deception, at what point can anybody go and steal something from somebody and hold on to it, and then the law will come and say, okay, now that's yours? It just don't make sense. And that is the one thing that needs to be known. Because of that 1930 sale, how does that affect today's sale? Whoever's going to buy it. You know, there's something to it, but I'm not a real estate attorney. I'm not an Indian land treaty expert or an Indian land tenure expert, but there is something there. There's something that isn't right about that whole process back in 1930. I asked the Bureau of Indian Affairs here to stop the process and get that audited.